You know, there's this kind of saying that went around for a while, and you know, it was so. First of all, everybody has a right to an opinion, and that's absolutely true. Every single person has a right to an opinion. You have a right to have your own opinion. It doesn't have to be someone else's. But there's also this thing that was going around that everybody's opinion is valid. And over the last couple of years, I have realized that's really not true. You know, or an opinion cannot be false, or something like that. That's really not true. There are definitely opinions that can be false. If your opinion is that vaccines do not work, or that your child should not get one, you know, unless a doctor told you that, your opinion is false. It is just flat wrong. I'm sorry that you need to be told this by someone else, but your opinion is not correct, and unfortunately, it is potentially harmful, and that really can't be allowed. What's going on here? So, okay, let's get rid of that. Let's see. Let's get rid of the King's one. Do that later. Okay, is there anything I can do about those right now? But yeah, your opinion might be wrong, and that just kind of happens. And I've kind of come to that realization over the years. But as long as you're a person who is willing to have the conversation and is willing to learn, or is willing to say, you know what, you don't agree with me, and that's okay. If that's how the conversation goes down, is that you don't necessarily agree with me, or if someone says, I'm willing to listen, you've been tasked with asking Koroks all over Hyrule if they know about parts for Terraco's repair. Gather the fun-loving Koroks by throwing a hop-in dance party. Okay, well, here we go. News of your dance party spread far and wide and lured Koroks from all over Hyrule. Based on the gossip you gleaned at the dance, you found parts that may revive Terraco. So we now have 3 more. So that's some additional Terraco parts. What do we need for this? We need to kill stone pebblets. Okay, so that's kind of good to know. I think I'm going to go ahead and activate this too. Researchers are experimenting with ways to enhance magnesis. They think electrically charged monster parts in particular might make the ability more effective. Bring them some. Not quite, Wander. That's kind of close. After a few false starts, the scientists finally figured out a way to amplify magnesis. It isn't clear if the materials you provided actually helped, but at any rate, you're glad they pulled it off. Okay, so magnesis can be used more often now. We really need that for stasis. Where's the mark for... That's the mark for stasis. So we need this for stasis. Okay, let's see if we can actually register this one. I'll go ahead and unregister Light in the Dark so we have that. Okay, I'm getting there, base. I'm getting there. There's a reason... I probably have ADD. There's a reason I jump from thing to thing. But some people, like, just... Some people have opinions that are not, you know... That are not good or valid. The person is probably good and valid, though nowadays I do think that there are such things as bad people. I used to think every person had the ability to be good, and now that particular thought has gone out the window. Oh, that's who I have to upgrade. Okay, hold up. You, tree. Get a bunch of levels. Let's see. Where was I? I was going to do this one. Okay. Yeah, Spectrum, not a Switch. Yep. Yeah, walk in a nutshell, you know? You might be a good person, but your opinions might still suck. But one thing I found is that a lot of people are of the opinion that no one should be offended by anything. and that offending someone means you're the problem. And another thing I've learned over the course of the past couple of years, especially the past 4 years, but it's been a going thing, is that that's not the case. You being offended does not mean that someone else has done something wrong. You might just be offended. And we know this is a case because we can point at them. We call them Karens half the time, right? That's the name that we have given to these people, that they are offended and they get upset because of it. But there are people who feel that they should not be offended, and if they are offended, that you have done something wrong, and so therefore they seek to shut down the conversation. There's a Discord server that I'm on that actually specifically has rules about this. That if you feel, uncomfortable or offended about a conversation, you can just shut it down. You can say, look, I don't want this conversation to happen anymore. And part of me is really upset by this rule. And part of me understands this rule. I'm very much of two minds about this. On the one hand, I understand where it's coming from. This particular community is made of a bunch of people who are fairly marginalized. It is a community made of a lot of LGBT people, especially a lot of trans people. It's a lot of people who, they are very much the people who, they're not being offended on purpose, that people are being specifically offensive to them, which is completely unacceptable. But these are people who are specifically, attacked by other people. And so it is important that there is a place where they can feel safe, and that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that in any way, that you have a place where people can feel, safe, included, and that they know it is a place where people will not attack them. So that isn't a problem. What concerns me is that when I grew up, what I was taught is that if I have an issue like that, I leave the conversation. Now, there is an argument to be made that that is a very privileged view, and I agree, it absolutely is. But I can't help but feel like, what gives someone the right to shut down someone else's conversation because they don't like it? Now, there are some obvious exceptions to this. If you are saying racist things, that's one thing. If you're advocating genocide, yeah, we shut the fuck out of that conversation. But who gets to decide what you shut down and what you don't? One conversation that brought this up, and the reason why I got a little bit annoyed by this, is that I was in voice chat with them one day in that server. Yeah, the rule's absolute is part of the problem. Oh, okay. Was not even aware that was there. We were having a conversation, and one of the guys was talking about a drinking trip he had in Amsterdam. We were talking about, travel and where people would like to go and what they have done in other countries. And he talked about how one night he was with a bunch of opera singers. Very pretty men all. And he has no idea what their sexuality was. He just mentioned they were very pretty. And they were all traveling from bar to bar. They were bar crawling. They were very inebriated. And on accident, they wandered into a gay bar. Now, as far as he is aware, nobody in this group identified as gay or gay or otherwise. No LGBT at all. But they kind of wandered in, sat down, and drank for a bit. A couple of drinks were given to them. And a few moments, not long later, it sounded like 30 minutes into drinking there, they realized that it was a gay bar and not some place where, they didn't necessarily want to, trick people. They didn't want people to get the wrong idea. So, they said their goodbyes and they left. Now, I mentioned that we were talking about this, and one person in the group said, "You had no right to be there. You shouldn't be there." And I thought about it for a second, and my initial thought was, these people being in this gay bar does no harm. And they're not there to insult people or to trick people. They're there to drink. That is what a bar is. You drink at a bar. Can you actually kill this thing? I'm curious. Doesn't look like it. You're not meant to actually kill this thing. Okay. Oh, wait. Excuse me? Oh, it's chasing after Zelda. Okay. So I started a comment saying, you know, I have a lot of friends who disagree with you. And I intended to finish this conversation with, and as a man who likes men, I also disagree with you. But because I started this with, I have a bunch of friends who disagree with you, apparently it came off as, and I understand this, after the fact, I understand this. But it came off to this person as, but I have black people. I'm allowed to say these things. But they very much, they just shut down the conversation. And I wasn't allowed to actually even say anything. I wasn't allowed to defend myself. I wasn't allowed to explain myself. It was the end of the conversation. Avoid Final the Guardian. I want to see if I can, I want to see what happens if I reflect its laser. But it doesn't look like the game's actually going to allow me to. Okay. So it kind of bothered me that I was wrong-footed and then had no chance to kind of get rid of this impression that... Oh, hello. Okay, cool. Bring it. Nope. Try again. Oh, actually, I have a special. Hold on. I have a special. Specials usually break these guys. So, on the one hand, for me, it's very much a feeling of, okay, you know, this was a person who probably has issues with people who are very against gay folks, who are very homophobic. They have a reason to have this opinion. They have a reason to be very uncomfortable with this conversation. And they have a reason to be angry with how I phrased that. Got it. I'm allowed to have a goddamn opinion, too. And this isn't even me saying that I'm allowed to have an opinion, period. I am a guy who likes guys. Like, and I like everybody, so let me put it that way. I am bi. So it's not me saying I am gay. I am very much bi. But I am a man who likes men. I am also attracted to men. So this is one of those things that I am allowed to have an opinion on, and I was not allowed to have an opinion on it. One of the things that bothers me is people who are very specifically, they don't allow other people to have an opinion, or to even explain their opinion, or even talk about their opinion, or anything of that. It's once you disagree with me, I have written you off as a human being. Damn, I missed. I'm gonna get this guy. Okay, come on. I want to fight the Guardian. You can't stop me. Got it. Wow, that does no damage. That was a reflect. Try this again. And that thing is, base, that's how it should be. That's very much how it should be. That everybody respects everybody. Everybody understands that everybody else is a human being. They treat them like human beings. Human beings are allowed to have opinions, and as long as they're not goddamn hurting you, you don't get to say a fucking thing. Well, okay, let me phrase that. You don't get to stop them from having it. The problem is that particular thing I just said has an awful lot of caveats. There are an awful lot of caveats to that. It's more exception than rule, but it very much is like you don't get to make this decision. Okay, so what happens? Like, I bet you it's gonna get to 1 HP and I'm not gonna be able to kill it. Yeah, but if you're not allowed to talk, you can't use logic and reason to build an argument. Is it dead? Oh, hey. Okay. Ooh. There's actually specifically a thing if you kill it. Is this the same cutscene as when we originally beat this level? Is the level just over? The level's just over. That just wins the level. All right. That's kind of neat. That has high resell. That has nothing. That has nothing. Yeah, if you're not allowed to talk, you're not allowed to talk. So the thing that bothers me about this server, and the reason I'm in this server, the reason I'm in the first place, and the reason I don't leave, is that a friend of mine is one of those people who very much needs a place to be safe. Now, that's not to say a safe place. That is, he needs a place where he can feel safe. Which I understand his background. I understand exactly why he needs this, and I very much want him to have it. I think it is very important that he has a place that he can feel safe. And I very much want him to have that place. And I am there because he invited me, and because I want to support him in every way, and I want him to know that I am. That he has someone in his corner. So I'm still willing to stay there, but after... I got shut down twice. Once was this conversation, which, you know what? Fine. I will take that one on the chin. I worded it wrong. I fucked up. Fine. I will take that. Another time, however, the conversation got shut down because we were having a conversation about Final Fantasy housing, and it just so happens that I kind of know a lot about that, and they didn't like that I was answering all the questions and telling them why the thing that they want to do doesn't work. We were simply talking about, like, why can they not put more housing in the game? I was talking about the stuff that Square Enix had already done, and they didn't like that Square Enix had already done all this stuff, and I was telling them that. They shut down that conversation, too. I don't talk much in that server anymore. I also missed the first half of this quest. With preparations completed, the search party set off with gusto, so much so they immediately found parts that might revive Terrako. Okay, we found more parts. I do not know, however, how many more Terrako things there are to do. Can I see my item list? Do I have the ability? Yes, material. Okay. 14 out of 50. Okay, so I need more of those. I need more of those. Need more of that. I don't know what else I need, but okay. Buy stuff from here. So I'm trying to think back through this long and winding thought process to exactly how I got to this part of the conversation. Yeah, it's gonna be a long way to revive it. It's only worth 200. That's annoying. Like I said, the big thing for me was that it was... You don't want to leave the conversation, you just want someone else to stop talking. And that is is one of these high resale or something? Like, I don't understand why... See how there's like a star on this? I don't understand why there's a star on this. You're not wrong. I'm assuming it's like high resell to this merchant. Okay, let's buy those. Is this showing? Why is this highlighted now? I don't know if I understand that. What do I still need for this? I need... Oh, nope, I need that. Red Lizalfo's tail and Lizalfo's trophies. Okay. Again, I'm of the opinion that if you don't like conversation, you should leave it. But again, that is... I am not the offended party. So it's very hard for me to actually, you know, follow up on that statement. Because I am not the offended party. But, we were... a lot of personal questions have been happening, and it ended up being a thing where we ended up talking about... Oh, wait. You can resume battle from partway through. Oh, okay. Cool! So I can just skip the Divine Beast part. Neat. You know, it was kind of weird to be so open, because we were talking about a lot of things. So talking about sexuality, talking about who are you interested in and why, you know, what attracts you, things like that. And it felt very different to be so open about that. It was kind of an odd thing. And so to follow up, so base, I'm actually in the furry community and have been for a very long time. I think I was like 12 or 13 when I first started getting into the community. Part of the conversation with him actually started because he was... So part of the conversation started because he asked questions about furries. I forget how the conversation came up. But, so then it was just me kind of correcting misconceptions about the community. You know, one of the first questions is the question that always comes up first, is just, why are furries so focused on sex? And I had to say, they aren't. You know, that really isn't most people. There are people who are, but, like, all of the stuff you see is kind of news organizations selling newspapers. They have a specific thing they want to talk about, and they talk about what sells. People being normal and having a hobby doesn't sell. People being sexual deviants does. So they'll focus on the people who are. And again, there's nothing, in general, if you are not hurting someone else, if it's two consensual people, then I have nothing to say about what you do in bed. That's your business. But a lot of people disagree. And then there was a lot of fun questions. Like, he wanted to know, do people actually spend, you know, $1,000 on, you know, fursuits? And I tell him, yes, people do, and this is why. I remember part of the reason the topic came up. I'm trying to remember, like, exactly how it happened. But he was using, so he was using the terms, and I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. Yeah, the free episode of CSI that everybody has seen, and that really... It didn't start the whole thing, but that was one of the big things that, that was one of the big things that that kind of brought bad attention. So he asked me, like, do fursuits have, you know, do they have butt flaps you can go to the bathroom in? And I was like, most people get out of them. You know, do people have sex in them? Some people probably, but most people don't want to get a $2,000 mascot suit sweaty because they're hard as hell to clean. So it was interesting conversations. So then he started asking, I forget how we got on the topic of it, but he wanted to ask me about, and again, I'm going to absolutely butcher this pronunciation, but the Japanese term for, I don't know if it's specifically gay men, but tops and bottoms, like the pronunciation I remember is uki and seimei. I can't remember if that's actually how it's pronounced at this point. It's been so long. But I had to give him a little bit of information because I'm trying to remember what the misconception was. I think he thought it was specifically a dom and sub thing, and I had to tell him no, it's top and bottom. That's it. Like there was a lot of kind of interesting conversation about, like, no, that's not what that is. But what I really like about this guy, hey, there's a Auroch I never noticed. What I really like about this guy is he just wants to know. Like, he doesn't want to offend. He wants to know. Like, he's curious about it. Curious about, you know the term? Okay, thank you. He's curious about the, you know, this culture and these folks. And he wants to know. Not for any reason other than, I don't understand this. Please teach me. I want to understand this. And that's a great way for people to think. Like, people should be like that more often, where I don't understand, please teach me. I really enjoy being that. I enjoy, like I was talking to, you know, to Base about it just now. It's like, no, I want to know, please I want to know about this culture. I want to know about this background. Please inform about all the stuff I either don't know or that, especially that I'm wrong about. And Wonder Girl, I think in part you're right. Some people do just flat want to be offended. But, like the beginning of A in English. Like, Seimei, is that what you're saying? Some people just want to be offended, but I think for a lot of other people, especially in the trans community especially, this is something that, I say this as a person who, I don't know where I sit now. If people were as accepting about trans people about 16 years ago as they are nowadays, there's a very high chance I would have gone into therapy to be, you know, to talk about, like, gender dysphoria issues. Because I had some back when I was younger. They never really went away. Like, it's still, I'm not going to say that's an issue that I deal with, because that's really not correct. But it's something that comes up from time to time. Like, there are times where, you know, I would not, I feel like I fit better as a girl than a guy. But it's not a permanent thing. It's not something like people who actually do have the I'm a girl in a guy's body or vice versa. That's not what it's like for me. I don't know where that puts me. But for a lot of people, like, and I kind of count myself lucky that I was never one of them, they do have a lot of issues in their life where they are not... Oh, right, I forgot. This is this map. Okay, you go here. Zelda, you go here. There's a lot of people out there who they are, you know, they're is this the same mud as Hestu? Yeah, this is the Hestu introduction mission. Hestu's probably just gonna sit around because there is no time limit, and I don't really feel like playing him. So yeah, we're not gonna be playing Hestu. I'm just gonna go do things on my own. But there are people who they are attacked, you know. It is not safe to be them. There are countries where it is very not safe to be a gay person. There's countries where it's very not safe to be transgender. And there are communities where it is not safe to be either. And people, at a certain point, they don't want that anymore. And luckily, the good news is society is turning a corner where not only is it acceptable to be gay or transgender, it is acceptable. This is an okay thing. Yeah, this is not something to be derided. This is not something to be made fun of. This is not something to be attacked over. But the person who does the attacking is the one that is in the wrong, which is absolutely how it should be. There is absolutely no doubt about that. And what this ends up meaning for a bunch of folks is that what ends up meaning is that they get to be the ones who get to decide, no, you don't get to do that. And that's important. It's important for them. They get to actually have... Base was talking about this a moment ago, is that those people are actually getting power, importance, and respect and control for once in their lives. Some people, that goes to their heads. You know? It becomes a thing where they'll make a fuss because they can. It's absolutely the Karen thing, you know? It's, I feel like I want to be more important. I want to exercise some level of power here, so I'm going to. Sometimes it's something they're doing on purpose. Sometimes it's not. You know, when I brought up that I worked at GameStop, they brought up the video of the transgender woman who was misidentified, right? They were misgendered. Wrong pronoun was used. And that woman pitched a fit. Now, she, you know, is completely, she's completely okay to be angry about it. But this is something you correct over. You don't start pitching a freaking fit over. Now, that being said, if she did, and I don't remember her correcting, I might be wrong, I have to go watch the video again. If she corrected and they continued to misgender, that is something completely different. That is very, very different. But from what I recall, in that video, that is not actually what happened. It was not a gently correct and then, get upset that you continue to do it on purpose. That's unacceptable. If I remember correctly, this was it happened once and she went off. Wonder Girl, there's a couple of problems with that, with those statements. Gonna make sure you get to finish typing first, but I'm not gonna say I'm an authority on it. I have a bunch of friends who are, and they have educated me to the best of their ability, and try to repeat some of the stuff they have said. But yeah, some people, they need to be validated, and I mean that's something that everybody in the history of mankind needs to be validated. That's not something new. But some of them demand it more than others, and will go to a great extent to get that. And some of them, and these are thankfully the vast minority, but some people, kind of any stripe, if they know they can get something for taking advantage of the fact that they are one of these marginalized communities, they will. Like, every community has bad apples. So there are some people who do it on purpose. Yeah, some people are just abusing it. Base, you're exactly right. And yes, some people are having a bad day, and it needs to be understood. However, I gotta say, you having a bad day does not mean you get to give someone else a bad day. So while I sit here sympathetic to you having a bad day, you don't get to be abusive because you're having a bad day. It is abusive. You don't get to yell and fuss and, attack someone because you're having a bad day. If someone should not do it to you, you should not do it to someone. So, Wonder Girl, I would never presume to disagree with you about what being female means. I've never experienced it, and unless something very distinctly different happens in technology, I never will. That being said, if there's someone who was born with a, double X chromosomes, who comes up to me and says, I know I don't look like it, but I'm actually male. I was born in the wrong body, and I've felt all of my life that I'm male, and I've been very uncomfortable about, having a vagina and, having to be thrown into these roles. I'm very, this is very uncomfortable for me all day long. This is not something that I want in life. And I need you to accept this fact. My immediate response is going to be sure. I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, well, if you are male, then, you need to accept these roles. I'm not going to tell them you have to be the first one called to war. I'm not going to tell them that you have to, deal with all of this stuff that is apparently the masculine thing of life. I'm not going to tell them that, because it is not for me to... And please do not take this the wrong way. It's not for me to gatekeep my gender from you. That's not for me to say. If you say that you are born in the wrong body, something like that, I am not educated enough to make a determination either way. I might ask, have you seen a therapist and a psychologist about this? But that's about it, because I want to make sure you're being taken care of. That someone who understands can get you the help you need to do what you need to be healthy. That's about as far as it's going to be. It doesn't matter to me if you go through Wonder Girl. That is literally what you just said you can't support if they don't do the surgery. The thing I just described. Like, I don't need you to have surgery. Like, I know a fair amount about the surgery that goes into gender reassignment for men and women. I was curious one day. I went and watched the videos, and I went and looked it up. I'm not going to say I'm a doctor. I'm not going to say I know more than someone who actually did it. But I went and looked. People who are, born biologically female who transition, that penis don't work. Like, for most people, they insert a rod into a tube of flesh to make it get hard. Like, that's how they do it. But it is important for them to have it because that is a identifier of being male. That is a important marker they need to have. For a lot of people born biologically male who are women, when they have that transition surgery, when they change the plumbing, there's lubrication issues because they don't get the parts that actually do that. So there's lubrication issues, there's tearing, it hurts. They're constantly being stretched. They have to be very careful about any That's the thing, though. Like, those surgeries are not always a good thing. There is an issue that transgender women go through where if they don't partake of penetration for a period of time, their body tightens up, and they have to spend months re-stretching themselves to make any type of intercourse pleasurable. Like, it's a major issue. There are reasons why some trans women do not have those surgeries, and partially it's because the parts that you're asking them to get don't work. They don't do what yours do. So asking them to give up something like a pleasurable existence in bed just because you want them to look right, I can't agree with that. Like, that's asking a little bit much of them. There are some who go, you know what? I don't need a big chest. They'll take hormones. They will grow breasts because, look, you can't see it, but I have fat here. It's one of the things I'm trying to get rid of because it is fat, and it's not fat that's shaped well. It's just fat. I have a breast. It is right here, and it is not even as big as someone who takes hormones will get. Some of them will just not do a actual surgery for it because they don't need any more than that. They won't get the facial reconstruction because it's super invasive, it's extremely expensive, it isn't usually covered by, it isn't usually covered by insurance, because a lot of insurances, they may have changed this, but a lot of insurances used to consider it to be, elective surgery. It was, what's the word I'm looking for? Pure cosmetic, for a long time, it wasn't considered to be something that was actually important. That's really expensive. It's not a small thing to fix. The entire face changes because men's face and facial structure and bone structure is incredibly different from women. So that can become a huge issue, and that's not something that all trans women can actually afford or go through. Some of them can't do it. Like, sometimes there's not enough flesh down there to actually do the surgery. The way that a trans woman gets a vagina put into their body is by cutting the penis in halves and then tucking it inside. Sometimes there's not enough flesh to actually do it. Like, there are actually medical reasons why some might not do it. And then again, it doesn't work right. It has tons of issues. It can cause major medical problems. And some people are not willing to go through it because that portion of them is not the important thing. If I had a man who was, you know, a person who says, I am male, and he went and had an accident and got castrated, he's still a male. Like, not having a cock and balls does not change if he is male or not. It doesn't. It just flat doesn't. And I'm saying very specifically male. And I'm saying this because I'm not a woman. I don't get to make that particular decision. I'm not going to say you're wrong either. What I am going to say is that other people have decided differently. And many of those people are medical professionals, and it is their job to say it. My recommendation is to go talk to a medical professional. Someone who it is their job to diagnose gender dysphoria and take care of these folks. And make your arguments with them. And see what they say. I mean, that is a legitimate point, Base, but I didn't want to make it. We're coming off of a number of years where we have made the decision as a culture, you know, as a society, we have made the decision that what your body is does not define who you are as a person. Just because you have a vagina does not mean that you have to be Susie Homemaker, you have to stay at home and take care of the kids. You can have a career, you can be powerful, you can be in control of your own life. You get to make your own decisions, and no one else gets to define what you are allowed to do. And we are coming to the decision that just because you are male does not mean that you have to be a person who doesn't have feelings. You don't have to bottle it up inside. You don't have to do that sort of thing. And we're making decisions because these things that I'm describing, they are not healthy. These are not healthy things. It is not healthy to sit here and, you know, be a man and say that I'm not allowed to express emotion. That's incredibly unhealthy. And lots of men have significant trouble because of it. Yeah. These are gender roles and things are... So... So, wonderful thing is, like, what is so important about what's between your legs? Why is that important? I understand what you're saying. I understand that you're saying that, you know, to be born a woman is to deal with periods. It is to deal with menopause. It is to deal with, you know, potential osteoporosis, back issues if your breasts are too large. There are a lot of really negative things that can come from being born female. Absolutely. The women in my family have dealt with a lot of this, and other women I know have also dealt with a lot of this, and I have learned a fair amount of it. So no, they're, you know, pain of childbirth, absolutely. But to say to someone that, you know, if it is someone who said, given the choice of changing my body from male to female, I would not do it, that's one thing. But if it's someone who says, I don't have the money, or the change that is being offered to me is not enough to make up for, you know, what I would go through to do it, I'm not gaining as much as I'm losing, I can't blame them for that. Now, I think, Wonder Girl, it sounds very much like you're not talking about transgender people. It sounds like you're talking about transvestites, which is a very different thing. No, gender roles are bullshit. They always have been. Gender roles have always been bullshit. From... Mev, you and I have had that conversation before, and you know my opinion on that. I'll let Mev tell the story in chat if he wants to. I'm not going to try to tell his story. But there are people who do waver. Like, I am actually one of them. There are days where I feel more feminine than masculine and vice versa, and I have since I was a very young kid, like before puberty hit, very young. That's how some people are, and what they want to be referred to as will change. If they're doing it to seek attention, that is one thing entirely. You know, that is something completely different. But if it's something that they're saying, look, this is what I need, you know, gender fluid or non-binary. If they say, this is who I am as a person, that's completely different. I also not sure I actually remember the story entirely. If was the other reason. Like I said, I don't want to tell the story wrong. Not my story. But, you know, it's very much a, oh, there's a guy right behind me. Hi, friend. And there's a very distinct difference between someone who says, I am transgender because they want attention, and someone who says it because they actually feel that way. It's a very, very different thing. And if it's someone who actually feels that way... no, ow, 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 ow. If it's someone that actually feels that way, like... I personally do not feel it is up to us to make a distinction. Or up to us to say, no, that, you know, you don't get to say that. At the very least, as I said, like, I am not gonna... At no point will I sit here and say, no, you're not allowed to call yourself a man because this thing is missing. Partially because... And one big part of that... yeah, there you go. Healthy amount of platonic romance, exactly. But, I mean, part of it is, like, how do you define it at this point, right? Like, I'll sit here and I'll break it down with you. I'll logic shop with you for a while. Like, a woman who has a double mastectomy because of cancer, is she still a woman? You know, is that still a woman after her breasts are cut off? If the answer is yes, then we have concluded that breasts have nothing to do with being a woman. If a woman has a hysterectomy, you know, is she still a woman? If she has a hysterectomy and has a double mastectomy, is she still a woman? As far as I'm aware, the answer is yes to all of these questions. And then we have to go further and really ask, like, what makes you a woman? And the problem is, there's not a lot of good answers to that one. When I was I forget this guy's name. Transgendered male, so female to male transition. Great guy, very loving guy. And there was this big deal because I think I want to say his significant other is a woman, and it was this big deal because they did in vitro fertilization. So now he was a guy who was pregnant, and there was this kind of big deal about it. You know, do you get to call this person a guy? And at the time, it was actually a question, you know? At the time, that was an issue. Nowadays, not so much. I actually just read a story about a woman who went to have her license changed, to have the gender marker changed from male to female. And her state doesn't allow it. Her state would not allow her to have that gender marker changed on her driver's license. So she immediately went outside and lifted her shirt. Just took her shirt off. And was immediately arrested by the DMV police, by the police officer in the DMV, for indecent exposure. Thing is, men showing off their chest is not indecent exposure. Wonder Girl, I hate to say this. I would also come down hard on you if I heard you say that. Like, I don't want to come down hard on you. I don't wish to make you feel upset or make you feel angry or anything like that. But I would come down hard on you because the thing that is important to a transgender person is not necessarily what they wear, it is the pronoun. If this person says that they want to be referred to as a woman, that's it. Because the thing is, it's not for, well, again, I'm not gonna say this flat out for everybody because I am not a person who should be saying that. But for a lot of transgendered folks, it is how they are seen by society that is the main thing. A lot of them will wear dresses, and they will, they'll, wear the nail polish and things like that. And one of the reasons they wear it is because the way you are identified, the way you pass as a woman in our society is how you dress. But what's really important is that when you refer to them as female. That's the thing that's important to them. Because to them, they are female. And one of the most important things to any human is that the way we see ourselves mentally is the way everybody else sees us. If you are a jock, and if you are and you think that you're very good at, playing sports, it's important to you that other people see you as good at playing sports. So they show off because they want to pass. They want to look female because that's important. But it's not the look, it's people saying, yes, you are. Now, I have to ask you, are you wearing a dress right now? Are you wearing nail polish right now? Both of them. Because you might not get to say you're female according to you if you're not. I think part of me wants to ask you, what do you lose if they do call themselves that? Because the only way I could ever, agree with you on this is if you're actively losing something. Yeah, acceptance is important. It's acceptance for you as who you are. Whatever label isn't the word I want to say, but whatever identity you have adopted as a person, it's important for you as a person that others see you as whatever identity you have adopted. This applies to tons of people. This applies to, people due to their sexuality, due to their gender. This applies to people based off of what type of person they think they are. If they think they're a good person or a nice person, it's very important that other people see you as that. Some people don't care about certain aspects of their personality. They don't care if you see them as this, that, or the other thing, but... Well, then clothes don't matter, so we're talking about something else. The point is, what matters? What is the core kernel of I am woman? That what bar do they have to pass? Apparently it's not clothes, and like I said, they're not wearing the clothes to feel like a woman, or they're wearing the clothes to feel like a woman, but they're wearing the clothes to make it clear to everybody else they are a woman, and the easiest way we do that in our society is by the clothes that we wear. It's why for a very long time women were supposed to wear dresses and such. Not because, of anything other than the fact that that's what you wear. Women wear pink, men wear blue. Not because it actually freaking means anything, but those are the colors we identified as being, male and female colors. The big thing I have to ask is, what do you lose by them identifying themselves as whatever they want to identify as? How does it harm you? The same question I would ask if I had the chance. Of all of the male politicians who are trying to stop women from being able to have abortions, what do they lose?